Welcome to a video from digitalife.com. Quick update on the Behringer RD-78 clone, the RD-78, and this is that the firmware hasn't been updated, but the SynthTribe application has been updated, so we can do a bit more with the patterns. So you may have seen my other videos. You may remember that to create some of the sort of classic patterns on the CR78, you had to combine a couple together. So, for example, Heart of Glass Blondie's, Mambo, and the Behringer patterns mixed together. So for my video on tutorial on how to do that, I manually created that combined pattern by ear and putting them together. What I couldn't do is combine the two factory presets like you would do on a CR78. The other thing is some of the fill-ins aren't the same as they are on the original as well. So again, those were done by ear. But what's new in the SynthTribe app, which is 2.96, is that the sequencer now enables you to import the factory presets. You can't write them back, not currently with this firmware version, but you can at least import them so that you can then build on those. So for example, when I did In the Air Tonight, the Phil Collins one, I manually programmed that in. So for example, on the In the Air Tonight, I manually programmed that in. Phil Collins took the Disco 2 and amended it slightly to create that. So I couldn't take that Disco 2. But what I could do now is I can go to the rhythm section, and I think it was the 2B that he used. But either way, you can see they're all on there now. So then I can recall it, and there's that pattern. Now, what I can't do is make any changes to it and save it as the factory, but I can save it back to one of my internal locations and user locations. So for example, I could take that now, I could export it, and I could call that factory Disco 2B, and I could actually save that back. So I could put it on, say, unused section. There's one I haven't used, pattern 115 as a user section. I could store that. So now if I go to the write mode and look at 15, there's the factory one. So I could take the snares out, and then for the part B, the second part of it, I could save it to part B and put the extra kicks in, and that would do that. So check out that video on the Phil Collins one if you want to have a look at that. Anyway, so that is really good that you can do that. What you can't do is merge them. So for Blondie Heart of Glass, what I did was I did it by ear, but what I could do now is I can recall them. So if I just go into another slot and import the Mambo, factory Mambo, there's the Mambo. What would be great is if I could import without clearing the factory Begin, and then I would have the Blondie Heart of Glass one. You can't do that. So what I resorted to, and this is where there's a bit of an annoyance with this SynthTribe app, is I took a screen clip of the Begin one and then just added the extra beats in to here. Now, what you can't do is have them on the screen at the same time. I can put it on there, but as soon as I start clicking onto here, this will disappear, which is really annoying because you've only got this full screen view. So actually what I did is put it onto another device and had that on the other device in front of me, so I could then do that. But that's how I could do it. So I would just add in extra parts, but of course as soon as I click in, it disappears like that. So it's a bit annoying, but that's why I say it's handy to have it on the screen. But you can build up that rhythm of combining the two that way, and then save it to one of the user slots, and that's done as well. So that does help. I did Heart of Glass before using this method. We should be able to, and there's what I ended up with. Now I don't know whether on the CR78, when they're putting two together, it cancels some of the things as well rather than just completely overlaying them. But that sounded pretty good to me. So that was actually a lot easier doing it that way than it was on my original one where I programmed it by hand. The other thing you can see in here is the variations, and you can't save those, which is a real shame because I'd love to be able to save those because the variations aren't the same as the CR71. I'd love to be able to program those back in and save those. Hopefully, Behringer will enable us to do that. What I did on Underpass for John Fox is I manually created the variations. So if I go to play mode, choose part 7, automatic variation mode to play the second rhythm, so it plays the A and then the B, and then you can choose, I think it was 8 for John Fox, but just to show you that it's a bit faster. So you can see that fill-in is on the B. If I chose the snare roll fill-in, there's a slight difference you can hear between the two. It's not so. You notice it on the high bongo one as well for Enola gains and things like that. So while this is great that you can read them, you can't write them back. It would be good if you could do, or if there was a way of having a user variation rather than just using one of your rhythm slots. So you've got 16 available slots. So you've got 32 memory locations. If you're doing the variations, you're going to use those. And what you can't do is say that snare roll variation. You can't call it from one of the other patterns. It only works in the A and the B. But anyway, that's the update. So a couple of things that Behringer just needs to fix. Take this off full screen. Have an import that doesn't clear the original. That would be great. And maybe have some user variations. So check out my video with all the other patterns. I've got Fade to Grey on there, and Duchess, In the Air Tonight, Jealous Guy, and Gary Newman tracks on there as well, Pet Shop Boys. So check out those. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.